Causeway Street Podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Pavone. Joel Pavone. Mr. Sean Dutra.
Hey, this is Leon Poe, man. You listening to Causeway Street Podcast.
What's up, y'all? This is Kenny Anderson.
Hi, this is Tyler Zeller from the Boston Celtics.
Y'all listen to the Causeway Street Podcast.
For all you new listeners out there, I'm your host, Joseph Pavone. I'm joined as usual by my two co-hosts.
I'm Sean Dutra. What's up? Sound like
talk
long
about
walks
yourself.
on the beach.
There you go. Joel Pavone. What up?
I'm a Pisces.
The most
It
romantic.
leads off with that.
The most romantic sign in all of Zodiac.
Oh,
You couldn't tell by my voice already.
oh,
Sexy. I'm the producer of this ensemble that we call Causeway Street. In case you missed it.
Hey, Bill Walton here, Celtics 1986. You're listening to the Causeway Street Podcast. Yeah, come here for nothing but the truth. This is where dreams come true. Thank you, Boston, for my life.
where are we going?
You guys are such homers.
It's your boy Terry Rozier. You're listening to the Causeway Street Podcast. Now listen to my boys Joe, Sway, Joel, and Sean.
Welcome into another edition of the Causeway Street Podcast, coming from our brand new Causeway Street studio.
Oh, yeah.
The first episode here. I like it here. It's nice. It's a little different, but I like it. We can't say where it is, right?
You can say where it is, man.
All right. Well, it's in Norwood.
Okay.
Not a bad location for all of
Shout out
us.
to you Norwoodians.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I don't fucking know, man. I'm new to this joint.
Norwood Adons? Right off the bat, Sean's pissed off, and I think I know why. I think it had to do with the deal that
no
went
one
down
gives
Friday
a
night.
Fuck about where we're recording this. Let's
Friday
talk about the
night.
moves.
Well, we're gonna get we're gonna
Jesus.
get into the moves, but
Well,
first
I
of
know.
all, I have to point out the fact that this is a nice location. We got a brand new studio.
I know.
Because we got a new home of where we're gonna be recording the Causeway Street Podcast.
Check out for those YouTube videos coming soon. We're gonna decorate.
That's right. We're gonna have
Causeway Street up in.
we'll have video episodes now because the live broadcast was such a success, and I definitely want to start off the show with saying big thank you to everyone that came out. I mean, we were overwhelmed, man. I don't know about you guys, but
Thank you, guys.
like the fans. I mean, I didn't even know we had fans like that. You know, what I mean, guys that were we had guys making references from episodes that were like over a year ago, and I was blown away.
Shout out to you, Learned Citizen.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got called out on a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, but Sean, that's exactly what happens when you meet someone that's been listening to the show for over a year. You know, they're gonna call you
true.
out on hating Jaylen Brown so much,
Yeah.
and how you came around on that.
Yeah.
And now we have Jason Tatum. But you know what? We're gonna put Jason Tatum on the back burner. That conversation is over because now we're focusing in on our. This is our free agent special episode, and there's one free agent that's certainly off the table. The name that was brought up a lot throughout this period, throughout this offseason. Blake Griffin is now a Clipper for life. It looks like he's signed a max deal. We had the big deal that went on Friday night. I don't know if for people out there who follow our Snapchat, but Sean was not happy, to say the least. He put up a snap of how upset he was.
I'm not worried
at
about
the fact
Blake.
that Paul George got traded. No, I'm talking about Friday night when you first found out about the
Friday
trade.
night.
And we all happened to be together that night.
No,
so
we were supposed to record. We were going to record.
we were going to record, and that news broke, and we were just kind of waiting to see what would happen between Friday night and Saturday. And we figured, you know what, let's just get recording before.
And then we got angry.
Before the
Then we
Celtics
got
meet
angry.
before the Celtics meet with Gordon Hayward. So now the pressure's on, right? Now we got to see if the Celtics can go out and sign Gordon Hayward, because all the other options seems like they're not on the table anymore for the Celtics. But we'll break it all down. Joseph Pavone here, of course, and we're Sean Dutra, Joel Pavone. Zach Pelican's going to dial in soon. I know Zach has a lot to say about what's going on because he's been very critical of Danny Ainge, right? We could say that. Very, very critical. And I think now more than ever,
Listen,
Celtics fans should be very critical.
If you haven't been critical of Danny Ainge, you haven't been paying attention. But no, seriously though, like, this is exactly what I was fearing. Exactly what I was fearing. Too many assets. He's got too much. He's got way more than everybody else. So when you're dealing with him, you're going to ask for the world. And you know what? He's not going to give you that. And they're going to deal somewhere else. Exactly what happened. Happened with Paul George. Happened with Jimmy Butler. Think about it. There have been, let's just talk about the three names that are gone now. You've heard over the past year, the Celtics were supposed to acquire Paul George or Jimmy Butler or Blake Griffin. All now done. Off. Check them off the list. They're done. Why? It's because Danny Ainge just didn't want to pay the price he needed to. He didn't want to pay that price. And all these reports that are coming out, which I think are absolute bullshit about how, oh, Danny offered 4 draft picks at trade deadline. No, he fucking didn't. Because if he did, they would have made that deal. They got Victor Oladipo and Sabonis's kid. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. No draft picks. No draft picks got traded for Paul George. So the Pacers just don't like draft picks? That's what it is?
I don't
or
think,
did Danny Ainge
I think it's a lot more complicated.
Did Danny Ainge just say, you're going to do it on my terms? That's what Danny Ainge's problem is. He
no,
goes
man,
on power trip.
It's the timing, man. I don't think it had to do with them not coming to an agreement for the terms of the deal. I think it was the timing of it. Danny Ainge wants to sign the free agent before he trades for Paul George.
So he needs to do it on his terms.
Or at least meet with the free agent.
So that means he didn't care if he lost Paul George.
Clearly,
he didn't care.
Clearly, Indiana wanted to get rid of Paul George as quickly as possible.
But think about it. Like, the Celtics aren't the only organization in basketball. Like, the Pacers have to deal with free agency as well. They have their own salary cap. If they wanted to make that trade before July 1st, which I'm sure they told Danny 100 times, because that shit broke at like 11 o'clock last night, where they got nothing. They wanted to make that trade before July 1st.
All right, so if Danny pulls the trigger on that deal, and let's say, hypothetically, he doesn't bring in Gordon Hayward, would you be happy with that deal?
Fine, because guess what?
Will you be happy with that? Because we're talking about, what, Jay Crowder, we're talking about Avery Bradley, we're talking about, I don't know, according to these reports, possibly a third starter.
No, it wouldn't have been. It wouldn't
have been. First round pick.
No, because
it was before the trade deadline.
These reports are bullshit.
But listen.
It's from Danny Ainge.
Okay,
it's from Celtics saying, "Hey, we did all that we could."
All right, so then let's just put.
It's not our fault. It's not our fault. We didn't trade.
For those who don't know, okay, relax. For those who don't know, let's talk about what the report was. The report before the trade deadline, this past trade deadline in February, 4 first-round picks, including this year's draft pick that turned into the #1 pick.
It's bullshit.
Let me fucking talk about it.
I'm just commenting.
All right. 4 picks, Jay Crowder. And Marcus Smart's name was tossed around as well. And Indiana said no. For whatever reason, they said no. That's one report. And then right before draft night, a couple weeks ago, it was 2 first-round picks. This year's, and not the one that they got in the trade from the Sixers, or the Kings/Lakers pick, and Jay Crowder. And other players, and I don't, for whatever reason, that didn't go through.
Okay, so
those are the two trade offers.
Okay, so then, if those are true, which they're absolutely not, because it doesn't make any sense. Why would the Pacers then say, "Yeah, we'll just take fucking Oladipo and Sabonis, and that's fucking it"?
Another report says that the Pacers wanted George out of the Eastern Conference. And the Thunder were the only team that could afford to land Paul George. Not Houston, not the Clippers.
I don't blame Danny Ainge if he didn't want to pull the trigger on a deal that without securing Gordon Hayward. Because honestly, I don't see Paul George sticking around if there isn't another all-star in there. You know, a super team situation for him to flourish in. Obviously, the risk of him going to LA next season plays a part. Obviously, the fact that if the Celtics don't get to at least the NBA Finals, what's going to convince him to stick around? What's going to convince Paul George to stay in Boston and sign a max deal when there's other choices? So let's just say let's fast forward a second and let's think about, okay, let's say the Celtics make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, they get bounced out against Cleveland, he leaves. All of a sudden, you've given up Jay Crowder, you've given up
Marcus Smart,
you've given up potentially Avery Bradley, and you have nothing to show for it. Danny Ainge is not going to pull a trigger on that type of deal without securing another premier all-star.
But if you want to believe reports, it also said that if they were going to give up a package that big, it would have came with an extension, a 3-year extension.
Yeah, but he would have to.
But was
agree
that
to it.
guaranteed though? Yeah, that wasn't guaranteed.
Yeah. No.
I'm just saying though, that was part of what they were discussing.
Well, yeah, he signs an extension once he sees Gordon Hayward on the roster.
Exactly.
He sees Isaiah Thomas on the roster.
Yeah.
That's going to make him, that's going to motivate him to sign it. But I'm not even 100% sure he would have signed it. We know better than anyone that that's just not how Danny works. Danny Ainge is not going to give up so many assets without securing another all-star to convince Paul George that this is the place for him to keep going and chasing a ring. After this year, who's to say that he's going to stay in Oklahoma City? I mean,
No, he definitely not staying in OKC.
we don't know that.
Who knows? If he plays with Russ for a year, he's got a better chance signing there than
but that's the thing,
else.
though. Oklahoma City, that's a risk they're willing to take because they're not giving up as much as the Celtics would have given
Yeah,
up.
they're giving up shit. They're actually getting relieved of an Oladipo
Yeah,
contract.
no, that's
that
a risk.
sucks.
That's a good risk for them. They're still another piece away. The Thunder still need another All Star to try to challenge Golden State.
I don't know.
I mean, I think this is just an attempt to keep Westbrook in OKC, but who knows?
Don't forget, both of those dudes are free agent next year.
Yeah,
But man, the Western Conference is getting stacked now between the Houston trade and Indiana.
there'll be some snubs, some All Star snubs.
Definitely. All right. Well, let's get to our guest. I'm dying to see what Zach is, thinking right now with all of this, everything that's going on between Blake Griffin off the table, between
That was Zach's
Paul
boy.
George off the table. Yeah, man. I'm sure he's not so thrilled with what's transpired within the last week, 24 hours or so, the last week. Zach Pelican joins the Causeway Street podcast. Zach, initial thoughts. Is this, if Danny Ainge doesn't sign Gordon Hayward, what's the next move for him in the Celtics?
Probably tuck his head between his legs and start to rock back and forth crying very, very hard, if I had to guess. After that...
There's always next year, Zach. There's always next year. Don't forget.
The issue that I have, I mean,
He thought about it.
there's a couple of different things. The first thing is, I don't think there's another top 10, top 12 player that's going to be on the board. So that's out the window with the Paul George thing, and Blake Griffin, who we'll call him a top 20 player, and Hayward's a top 25 player, we'll say as well. If those pieces fall off the board, I honestly can't tell you where they go next because you're not going to get the caliber of player.
Danny missed. I agree with Zach. Danny missed. Truthfully, I got zero faith. I have right now in this moment today, July 1st, where we're recording, I have zero faith that the Celtics are going to sign Gordon Hayward. I have zero faith.
Well, it's a
What
good
about
thing
you,
you brought
Zach?
that up because reports right now, the latest report on Gordon Hayward is Miami has become the front runners to sign Mr. Hayward.
But like all this just
How about that?
All this means is that like Danny Ainge, I don't know.
But Sean,
I'm not
listen.
I'm not saying that this should happen, but you know what?
You can't blame Danny, man.
Just fucking rebuild at this point. Sign Isaiah, sign Avery Bradley, fucking sign them to max deals, grow Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown or whatever.
Smart.
Draft your fucking top 5 draft picks next year. Just fucking do it. You're not gonna just say, you know what? We're done. That's it. Because I'm sick and fucking tired of listening to these reports of, well, this is the year because we're going to get George and Hayward. Or, oh, yeah.
Super team.
We're going to get Jimmy Butler and this other dude. Or, Vucevic is coming and Boogie is coming. And no one fucking comes here, man. No one fucking comes here.
Gallinari?
Danny can't make a trade. Danny hasn't made a trade since Isaiah Thomas. And we weren't even excited about that shit. No one saw that shit coming. There was not an anticipated trade for Isaiah Thomas. It's never going to happen. Danny's never going to make another trade. He's never going to sign another big name free agent. Al Horford's his guy. That's it. Rebuild. Fuck it.
Zach, is that the plan? Rebuild and just lock in the guys that the Celtics need and just go forward.
Just buy my Zizis jersey right now.
I mean, if you look at this free agency list, what is it? Gallinari. That's probably what the next most attractive player on this list. If you're not bringing in Gordon Hayward, right?
Zach Randolph.
No, don't sign any of them. You just go sign that more German forwards like that fucking dude they just signed.
Otto Porter is available.
Great.
Zach, did the Celtics go that route?
I hope not. You're just going to wrap up more money and you're going to hurt your cap going forward. There's a pretty good crop of free agents going in 2018, which is, I think, probably going to be the next most likely move for Boston. Just hold on to your flexibility for another year. The problem is you have 3 of your most key players that are going to be potential free agents with Marcus Smart, who I believe is going to be restricted as long as they offer the or as long as they sign an offer sheet to him. And then you've got Bradley and Thomas, who are probably both going to be paid in excess of $20 million per year, with Isaiah Thomas probably looking at $30+ million a year if he can come back from that hip surgery and be anything near what he was a year ago. So you're talking about a lot of money that's going to have to be figured out and wrapped up with the players that you currently have unless you trade them. And it doesn't seem like that's going to be the move because, like I was saying, I don't see anyone else on the board that can fall. I don't see any other moves anyone else in that top 15 players in the league, why would those teams move them? Because they're either in good situations or under good contracts or players that those teams feel like they can win with. So it just doesn't really make sense to me. Unless, and this is really off the wall, Golden State, for some reason, Klay Thompson had to be moved. That's the only other guy I can see out there that maybe there's even a possibility for. And even with that in mind, he's got 2 more years at a very reasonable contract for him. So I don't see that being possible either. So does Boston try to find a way to facilitate a trade for Cleveland to get Kevin Love? Does that excite you? Because that's about the only player out there with a quote-unquote big name that I see. So I don't know. I mean, it's disappointing, and I think we've got to the point where we better start looking at the different draft classes over the next 2 to 3 years because that's about as good as it's going to get. Let's remember, if it's still draft lottery, that we've only won one time in the history of the franchise, we can hope that we're going to be up there again, the Nets being as bad as they are and with the Lakers expected to be poor. But at the end of the day, there's no guarantee you're picking at the top of the draft. And even worse than that, Danny Ainge doesn't have a great track record as a drafter at the top of the draft. I mean, he's had now 3 or 4 picks at the top of the draft, and none of which have turned into all-stars. So, I mean, a lot of them have been recent, but I don't know. It's very concerning, and I think, we're starting to get to that point where 5 years from now, we could be looking back. This could be one of the most catastrophic failures that has happened in the history of the NBA. And I know that's kind of hyperbole right now, but it could very well go that way with the way things are looking.
I think the only saving grace is that Chicago looks like an asshole too. Trading Jimmy Butler for that, but we'll talk about. I mean, that's a different story. But
well, Zach, one name that I brought up like 3 weeks ago is a guy who I envisioned the Celtics going after if everything else failed. And of course, this is sort of the last 2 or 3 days where if this one fails in terms of the Celtics not going out and signing Gordon Hayward, this is when you're going to start hearing this name. And I would love to hear your take on it because I don't think it's a bad route to go if you're the Boston Celtics. Carmelo Anthony. Now,
get the fuck out of here.
I know the Celtics are going to need a third team to make this happen because if you don't want to see the Celtics, and I'm on that page, if you don't want to see the Celtics giving up a combination of Jay Crowder and Avery Bradley for Carmelo Anthony, they're going to have to get a third team involved to make the contracts match. But what is your take on the Celtics potentially going after Carmelo Anthony? A guy who has gone on record to say that he would waive his no-trade clause to come to Boston, and a guy who could give you a year, if not a second year, if he picks up that option of production, offensive production to add to Isaiah Thomas, to add to Al Horford, and to add to this Celtics team that is looking to make it into the NBA Finals within the next couple of years and top the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, he's an interesting. I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it.
Don't lie.
I think the first way to look at it is the way that me and Sean probably look at it, which is if you're not going to go get another player to go with it, another star, what's the point? You're not really doing. You're not moving forward. You're not moving forward enough to where it's going to make a difference against the Cavaliers. The other way of looking at it is, okay, Boston has struggled to score when Isaiah Thomas is off the floor. They don't have a guy who can create his own shot. Mm-hmm. Carmelo Anthony can still do that at 32 years old.
And I think it's unfair for the Celtics to ask Jason Tatum to do that, in his rookie year. If you have someone like Carmelo Anthony, I mean, it sort of eases the process.
No, I mean, I would be okay with Carmelo Anthony coming here if we got Paul George and Gordon Hayward or something like that, where he's like, somehow like the third guy we add in. Like he's just like an added piece. No way. Absolutely no way. And first off, am I dealing with the Knicks at this time? Because they're a fucking mess. They're going to ask for way too much, and if you want Carmelo, you have to overpay.
But if you get a third team involved, you're not giving up too much.
No, I don't think it's worth it at all.
Sorry, I think I cut you off, Zach. What were you going to say?
You're going to make a deal, which is probably, well, actually, now that Phil's gone, it might be pretty realistic. But that's another thing to take into consideration with that is Phil's gone. Do you think now that maybe that he's out the door and this team can get back to some level of normalcy, that maybe, that might even be off the table? It's a very bad situation. And I don't blame Danny Ainge per se about this Paul George thing because he kind of had to sign Hayward first to get the George thing to actually fall in line.
I agree.
So I don't blame him necessarily with how this went down. But at the end of the day, if you want to sit there and defend what he's offering, that's what gets me upset, is the fact that he offered 3 late first-round picks, Jay Crowder, and an expiring contract of Avery Bradley as his package. Who the hell in their right mind would think that a multi-time All-Star is going to be worth that?
Listen, it's still better.
And let's be honest about ourselves. Maybe as soon as he gets Gordon Hayward to sign on the dotted line, and, you know, whether it's Monday or Tuesday, he would have turned around and said, okay, you know what? I'll give you this Lakers pick. Let's call it a day. And maybe it all works out. But it just didn't work out. It blew up in his face. And now we have to worry about walking away from this offseason with Jason Tatum and getting Zizic to come from starting. That's it. That's it now.
And you know what? You know what too? Like we're forgetting, if the Celtics don't get Hayward now, like, because he's the last guy, Isaiah's not going to be ready to start the year. If you go back in with the same team minus Isaiah Thomas and plus Jason Tatum and Zizic, whatever, you're going to have a tough start of the season. Like, how are the Celtics going to be able to play without Isaiah Thomas for? Has he agreed to do the surgery yet? Is that
not yet?
Okay, which is
alarming.
Which is alarming because he should have just done it to.
Well, no, I think what the Celtics are doing is that they're waiting to release that information until after the free agency process.
Yeah,
they don't want to give Gordon Hayward any reason to think that he's not going to be 100% or that this is going to be an ongoing plaguing injury throughout the season. So,
but you know what?
They're not going to release that information right away.
If you're Miami, you're saying this dude's not going to be playing with you for the first 4 months of the year. You know what I mean? Like, Isaiah, realistically, if Isaiah has agreed to get the surgery, whether we know it or not, which I think he needs it, he's out until the All-Star break? Something like that?
No, I don't think it's that.
No, I think it's until about December, which is the same thing you would have gotten if you get Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin's not going to be healthy either, but that's neither here or there.
I just think, first off, to go back on your Carmelo point, 3 words, Honey Nut Cheerios, no. Don't want Carmelo. All right, just
they're separated right now. Okay,
they
Come
are.
on.
Is that in
Sean?
Is that in power or is that in real life?
They're separated right now.
They
in real life.
Sean, I can't think of another guy. Well, okay, maybe I can think of a few, but it's a short list of guys in the NBA with all-star talent that are just eager to prove themselves and to shut up all their critics. Carmelo Anthony is probably near the top of the list in terms of a guy who wants to prove himself to be a winner and he would relish in a situation to face LeBron James in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay, so I will caveat it like this: is if you can get a third team involved to match contracts.
Oh well, you have to, because I don't see Danny Ainge giving up what he would have given up for Paul George.
Okay,
no,
this
and he's not worth it.
This is what I'll say: is that you can get Carmelo without the Brooklyn pick. I don't care about anything. You don't even mention the Brooklyn pick. You don't mention the Lakers or Kings pick. You don't mention.
Oh yeah, well if Danny Ainge didn't put the Brooklyn pick on the table for Paul George, he's not gonna do it for Carmelo Anthony.
Right. So all right, if you have to give up like nothing, and you don't sign him to an extension, so we don't get locked into a Carmelo because he has a player option.
As an option after which
you
he could very much take.
You get him for 1 year. Whatever. If you don't get anybody else, fine. I don't care. But still, at the same time, all he's going to do is take away minutes from Brown and Tatum. So I just don't know if it's worth it. If you're not signing a guy.
It's worth it if you don't sign Hayward. I'm saying if they strike out on Hayward, I would like them to go after Carmelo Anthony. No, I'm not saying put him together with Hayward.
But why? Because he then will be the starting 3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so now Brown's going to come off the bench.
So you don't think
Tatum's going to lose minutes? Like if you don't get anybody and you have Isaiah out with a hip injury to start the year, I don't care about the record. I'm saying at this point, you know what? Just rebuild. Make sure, see what you got out of Tatum and Brown.
Sean, they need someone that can produce 20 points on any given night at least, average 20, and have another score to complement
outside of
Isaiah Thomas. Right? I'm not like I said earlier. I don't want to see Jason Tatum in a spot where he needs to be the third best scorer on the team, because if that's the situation, because then that means you're not going anywhere in terms of beating the Cleveland Cavaliers.
No, you're
at
not.
least someone like Carmelo Anthony will give you another win or two in that series.
If you don't
3 wins away they were last year.
If you don't improve the team and you lose pieces, like whatever bench pieces you want,
how does he not improve the team?
I'm saying if you don't improve the team, then and Isaiah Thomas is going to be injured, you're going to have a tough start to the year. You might as well get Tatum as many minutes as possible. have him develop.
But he would have lost minutes if Paul George, that trade went
Yes,
through.
but Paul George versus Carmelo Anthony, Gordon Hayward versus Carmelo Anthony. I don't think Carmelo for 1 year is going to do anything enough to put us over that ledge, right?
He gives you another 20-point score, which the Celtics don't have outside of Isaiah.
I'm just saying,
It's not even close. No one can score 20 points for the Celtics.
At this point, I would value developing Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum over having Carmelo come in and.
I mean, they're still going to develop. It's not like they're not playing at all.
Well, I'm just saying, Carmelo plays like 32 minutes a night.
Maybe he won't play that much. Maybe he'll play
28,
29 minutes
I don't know.
tonight.
I don't think you would trade for him. I just don't think that, with everything that's going on in the NBA right now, you adding Carmelo Anthony puts you into like a top 10 team in the NBA. Like, you may crack the top 10.
I still think they're a better team. The way they are right now, and you add Carmelo Anthony, that's a better team than a few months ago.
Yeah, than a few months ago. But also, the Rockets are better. The Thunder are better.
We're not in the Western Conference.
Okay, but you know what I'm saying, though. Like, Carmelo's not going to put you over the hump. I don't think the Cavs are going to do something, I'm sure, to get better. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but just Gordon Hayward, does that put you over the hump? Just signing Gordon Hayward.
He's better than Carmelo Anthony. So, yeah. I think you would.
Well, yeah, it gives you a lot more upside, but
right.
It doesn't put you over the hump, though.
It doesn't put you over the hump.
That's my point.
But
if you strike out on Gordon Hayward,
I'll be the first one to say, you draft Tatum and you sign Gordon Hayward, that's a successful offseason,
right.
in my opinion.
But here's the thing. Obviously, you go out and sign Hayward. Maybe it doesn't put you over the hump this year, but then the next year when you go out and sign another free agent, or you draft the number one, or you trade something and you can add to that team, Carmelo is a pure rental if he comes here, and he's not going to put the Celtics over the hump next year. The way the team's constituted, it doesn't matter. Why would you even give anything?
It makes it an attractive, more attractive team with Carmelo on the squad.
I don't care about attractive. I don't care about attractive. I'm just saying.
Well, that's the point. That's the point of Hayward. You bring in Hayward, and then you're trying to get other players to come to the team as well.
Oh, you're talking about for the player. I'm
talking about for adding players.
I don't know. I just think obviously Hayward or bust at this point. If Hayward doesn't come, if I'm Danny,
it's a failure.
Yes, it's a failure. Absolute failure. Absolute failure.
Zach, we haven't gotten a chance to talk to you since the NBA draft. So real quick, what's your take on the what the Celtics did, drafting Jason Tatum? What's your reaction to the newest Celtic?
I didn't mind too much. I do believe Danny Ainge when he says that he thought Jason Tatum was the best player out of this draft in his eyes. I believe that he thinks that, not that I necessarily agree with it. But, you're talking about a professional scorer, a guy who does have the potential to grow into being a starter quality NBA player. And I think, they make the comparisons to these Paul Pierce in the future. I don't think he's quite that high end of a scorer, but I think he is a player who can be one of your top two scorers on a championship caliber team. We're talking about a guy who shot the ball pretty well at Duke a year ago. I think he kind of took that team over by the end of the year away from Grayson Allen and Luke Kennard. He's a solid player. He's a very solid player. My issue with him is that I do think there is absolutely a ceiling to how good he can be. I don't think we're looking at a guy who's going to be Kevin Durant or LeBron James. I think we're looking at a guy who's going to be in that middle tier, that 15 through 30 player, and when you go and rank him out. I think Boston got the raw end of a deal with the Josh Jackson thing, not being able to see him play in the pre-draft, which still upsets me, and I think the Phoenix Suns need to really, really keep their head on a swivel, because I think the Ainge is going to get them again at some point with that. But, at the end of the day, I don't mind Jason Tatum. I think he's a nice player. I think he's a good, solid locker room presence. From all accounts, he's a good kid. I think he's going to do well here. I really like, and I'm going to butcher this name, Semi Ojeleye in the beginning of the second round. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a fantastic grab. Not very typical of him to go after a guy who is the highest on the board at that time. And he goes out and gets him, I think it's at 37. This kid is, I think he could end up being, possibly the highest potential out of any of the four players that they selected. Really athletic, strong, good, solid build. A guy who can play kind of a stretch 3-4.
It sounds just like a Brad Stevens. Sounds like a Brad Stevens favorite, man. He loves those guys. Yep. Those
exactly. Very, very versatile. He can defend or has the potential to be a solid defender as well. Shoots the ball pretty well. I really like what I've seen out of him. He was a very good player at SMU under Larry Brown, and then I forget the name of the coach that took over after him. I really like that pick. The other two, interesting. You draft a guy with the last name Bird, but we'll see what happens there. And then Kadeem Allen, who is a pretty solid combo guard who will be going up against Demetrius Jackson to see if he can get onto the roster and get some time at some point. But not a bad draft overall. But again, we're sitting here saying, well, not bad, but what else?
Yeah, well, everyone's looking for the fireworks, man. That's what it is, Zach. Everyone.
Exactly.
Wick said that, 3 years ago? And
Celtics been biting him in the ass ever since.
Celtics fans have been waiting ever since.
But, I mean, you can draft the best second rounder out there. The way the Celtics are constituted now, though, that dude's never going to see the fucking floor. We got that's what happens when you draft.
Gotta love Sean's optimism, huh?
That's what happens.
He could
when you
be
draft.
MVP of the D League, though, just like
like Abu.
Exactly.
I know you're gonna be watching Summer League. Don't act like you ain't gonna be watching Summer League.
Yeah, but
they're taking that championship, man. It's gonna be fun.
Taking that crown.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I'm the only one that's excited about it.
They got the rookie of the year of the D League on the squad as well. It's gonna be good.
I can't believe the amount
MVP.
of enthusiasm
MVP.
that's going around the Summer League roster on Celtics Twitter. I'm like, it's a fucking Summer League roster. Like,
it's the future, brah. The way the thing's looking right now.
Oh, Smoochie Wallace?
Say that again. Oh, Smoochie, there you go. That's your boy.
That's his boy.
That's Zach's boy.
I don't think he's gonna get much playing time, but he'll be there.
Smoochie.
Smoochie.
Yeah, Smoochie Wallace.
Hey, speaking of, do you have this in case you missed it? I don't want to spoil it.
No, go ahead.
But
I was gonna spoil one too, but go ahead.
Speaking of Summer League, you hear my
Spoilers
boy,
all around.
my boy James Young on the New Orleans Pelicans roster for the Summer League.
Good for him.
As a free agent, not knowing where the hell he's going to play ever again.
He's gonna take Tim Frazier's spot then.
That's the place to go if you want to make a team. You go to New Orleans.
I put money on the fact that James Young is going to be a baller in Summer League this year.
Okay, I'll take that bet. I guess.
Yeah.
MVP.
I thought you were going to stay in the
MVP.
Regular season, but okay.
Summer League.
Zach, before we let you go, one thing I want to bring up is the trade that went down this past week involving Chris Paul going to the Houston Rockets. The Rockets gave up a boatload of players, some draft picks, some money was involved also. But what I want to hear your take on is the reports that came out after the trade. And I'm sure Joel has it for in case you missed it, but Zach's not going to be there, so I want to hear what he has to say about it. Report about
spoiling shit.
Doc Rivers' son being favored, Austin Rivers being favored, things that he was doing that transgressions that he wasn't getting punished for the same way the other players were. What's your take on that in terms of
that Big Baby brought up?
That exactly the same exact stuff that Big Baby brought up, and that tough dynamic of father and son, and pretty much, let's face it, I mean, Doc Rivers pretty much saved him from falling out of the NBA. What's your take on how they can move forward, with that relationship on the Clippers team? And do you think that there's a lot of truth to what Chris Paul, or the reports of how Chris Paul felt about that?
Well, first off, the initial report that Chris Paul, he was fed up with that was the fact that Doc refused to put Austin in a trade at the trade deadline for Carmelo Anthony. He refused to include him.
Right, and we know
that's what put him over the edge.
And we know Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony, they have a good relationship.
Yeah,
they're friends off the
buddies.
court. Mm-hmm. The banana boat picture, all that.
Yep.
I can't get on a banana boat now. I was in Aruba and they had a banana boat trip. It was pretty well priced, and I said I'm not going to be one of them.
Okay, cool. So Zach, what's your take after all that?
It's strange. I mean, it just goes to show you that when you have a father coaching a son, that these are the types of issues that come up. Is that he's got family issues. He can't trade the kid because his wife's going to divorce him or whatever. Or, he's going to have issues at home. So it's
your sandwich ain't going to be done every day.
I believe Chris Paul. I believe what's coming out of his camp, because I think that is a situation where, I mean, Austin Rivers is a middle-of-the-road NBA player at best. I mean, we're talking about a situation where the Clippers knew that this day was going to come, where Chris Paul was going to be a free agent. Blake could have walked out the door this offseason. And, why are you not trying to get as good as possible and do as much as possible in order to be able to start winning games? Those guys aren't getting any younger, and they knew it. And, I mean, it is disappointing to hear that Doc, who is this guy who left Boston because he didn't want to coach a team that had to rebuild and take all these steps. Now he's kind of looking like he's going to have to rebuild after all of that. So it's sad to see. But, I mean, Doc Rivers to me, and I love him, but I always thought there was a little bit of an overrated situation with him that I think, we could have put Dutra on the sidelines with KG, Ray Allen, and Pierce. He was going to be able to win a title with those three.
The fuck is that supposed to mean?
All right, fine.
You're
Good
the-
with me on the side.
I'm
You're
a
the
great
big-
coach.
You're the big baby of this scenario, apparently.
Well, it's interesting because if you put Carmelo Anthony on that team, and of course, Doc didn't anticipate that injury to happen to Blake Griffin the way it did, but I mean, you would have had someone to sort of substitute, offensive production and for Blake Griffin. I mean, they needed Blake Griffin throughout those playoffs, and the Clippers, of course, fell short. And I feel like Doc was sort of thinking to himself, well, especially when he first got to the Clippers, that he was thinking to himself that this is going to be a run that they can continue to keep doing over and over and over again. And then, lo and behold, the Golden State Warriors become the Golden State Warriors. They go out and get Kevin Durant, and they just leapfrogged, the Clippers way ahead of their process.
Funny thing is that Big Baby came out and said this shit.
He's been saying this shit like all year.
And everybody was like, get the fuck out of here, Big
yeah.
Baby.
He's bitter,
You're just
he's
mad.
bitter, whatever
Your
it
butt
is.
hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, then all of a sudden Chris Paul leaves and he's like, yeah, no, that
He's like, that's what the fuck I've been saying all fucking
yeah,
season.
exactly.
They couldn't get out the first round.
Yeah, I just think that there's a reason why there's a coaching position and a GM position separate, right? Like, Doc obviously has connections emotionally with a lot of players. Obviously, is his son, right? He's the only reason why his son still has a job right now in the NBA.
Listen.
Because let's be honest.
Yeah.
When Danny traded for him and, got waived or whatever, no one was going to pick him up.
Mm.
No one was going to pick up Austin Rivers 2 years ago.
In this point
What was
guard
that
era,
trade? What was that trade again?
he falls through the cracks. I mean, he's not consistent enough to be a starter. He's fallen back to that role off the bench, but his production could easily be replaced on almost any given team because he's not as effective as a lot of other guards that are more consistent.
Honestly, he should be in the D League.
Doc saved him.
He should be in the D League.
If the Clippers didn't if they didn't make that trade, that would be the case.
If he
He would be in the D
if he
League.
wasn't Doc's son, he would be in the D League.
Yeah.
And
Or playing in Europe somewhere.
you know what? You know why this pisses me off so much? Because he takes positions away from guys like Phil Pressey.
That was a shot at Sway.
Sean just starts smiling. Sean's being an asshole. He don't talk about Phil Pressey. Hey, Phil Pressey's not done, man. His career is hanging in the balance. He'll get back soon. Hey, Zach, man, I appreciate you checking in. Why don't you come down to the studio one of these days, man? We get you set up over here in our new spot.
I know. The new spot, definitely 104.
Causeway Street 104. Yeah.
Is that what we're calling it?
Or I'm toying with the Causeway Corner. I don't know.
Okay, all right.
Causeway Street
That
Corner.
sounds good.
I don't know. I like
That's
it.
good. Hey, Zach, any final thoughts before we let you go on this great start to the free agency period?
Yeah, because
yes.
the next time we talk to you, we'll find out what
right.
happens with Gordon Hayward.
Yes, I'd like to say fuck Danny Ainge.
any prediction or any final thoughts?
That sounded nothing like Zach.
Didn't?
I'll say this. I think even though we're hearing now that Gordon Hayward is leaning towards Miami, he shows up in Boston. I think we're still going to have a shot. I hope that can happen for us, but it's going to be tough. And if we walk away from this week and we don't have a Gordon Hayward and we definitely don't have a Paul George, Danny Ainge and the Celtics team are going to have to really come back to the table with a much better idea because unfortunately, I think, dragging your feet, taking your time, it's not really working out for a lot of Celtics fans out there, and rightfully so. So, I don't know. How excited are we about those draft picks next year?
Yo.
Because it feels like that might be it.
Hey, Zach, I got one question for you. Or a comment.
Sure.
Comment/question. Do you remember right in the middle of May when we podcasted and you were like, well, you said it though, this is the turning point of the Celtics
when
rebuild.
they landed number one pick.
The Celtics rebuild is about to go into hyperdrive, I think is what Zach said.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about those comments now, man?
I think
He said a turning point. He didn't say either good or bad. He just said a turning point.
He said fucking hyperdrive.
It's a very, I don't know what the word for it, a very important moment. Because, at this point, there's something else that's going to have to happen now at some point in the near future, too. And that is the figuring out of what Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, Marcus Smart are going to be with this team. So that flexibility is going to be gone one way or another.
I hear you, bro.
The writer of the CausewayStreetBlog.com. And
Hold on, real quick. Sorry.
Okay, all right.
One more question.
All right, okay.
Damn it, Sway.
It just hit me right now. Sorry, Joe, to cut you off.
I got shit to do.
Zach, are you upset about the whole Jimmy Butler thing? Do you think that Danny dropped the ball? Because I know you're so critical of Danny Ainge, and I'm kind of surprised that you're not being more, more like F Danny Ainge right now with everything that's transpired. Do you think that he should have made a deal for Jimmy Butler? Do you think that he should have done whatever it took to get Paul George? I mean, I know in my opinion, to me, the deal breaker was that Brooklyn pick. Do you think that Paul George would be worth that?
The Brooklyn pick this year or next year?
Next year.
Honestly, that was the break point for me. I said in my head, my deal that I would have given up if I was in Danny Ainge's seat, I said Jay Crowder, Avery Bradley, and the Lakers pick next year, or if it turns into the Kings pick. That was going to be my trade offer if I was Danny Ainge for one day. That's what I would have offered. And from there, I would have built, you had 3 other late first-round draft picks, and I would have added one and said, hey, here's what it is. You know, if you guys are willing to take it, great. If not, then, you know, you can move on. Like I said, I'm disappointed, but at the end of the day, I understand where the timing of this entire situation is a little difficult to say, well, it's all your fault, Danny.
Mm-hmm. It is.
You know, it's hard to say that. It really is.
No,
because
it's not. Say it with me, Zach.
Figured out, and to make that trade, I think, would have really been difficult, because then you're talking about they would have had to deal quite a bit away for very little in order to be able to make the room to get Hayward onto this team. And the whole plan and the whole thought is behind this that you build a super team with as much depth as possible, and you trade as little as possible to get that team. So I don't know. It's tough. The Jimmy Butler thing bothers me probably a little bit more than the Paul George trade, just because he has 2 years on that deal. He seems to fit this team very, very well, and the price seems to be so reasonable. I don't know. It is disappointing, and I think it's going to get more and more disappointing, you know, whenever we miss out on someone. And you know, with all of these assets are turning into players now. It's no longer, hey, they got 3 Brooklyn picks. They've got 1 Brooklyn pick now, and we don't know where that's going to be. So it's starting to come to fruition of, okay, they're just going to build this thing through the draft, and they'll pick up pieces wherever they can find them, because there hasn't been much movement in terms of those trades. And Sean, when you freaked out earlier, I was like, this man right now is having a rip, but he is right. He is not making any more trades. He is not making any more signings, because
it's all over.
They're just not going to happen. It's just not there. And I think it's too bad, but what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Zach, we appreciate you checking in, man.
Where can I find you on Twitter before you bounce?
At OTW Sports Radio.
There it is, Zach Pelican of CausewayStreetBlog.com. Thanks again, Zach, and enjoy your holiday, and we'll talk real soon.
Definitely.
Be careful with the fireworks. No Jason Pierre-Paul shit, all right?
No, there's no fireworks. We're not here in the Boston area. You know that,
Sean. Hey, laws are laws.
Well said.
Meant to be broken, okay?
Well said. All right, let's get into it in case you missed it.
Wait,
what do we miss?
Hold on.
What's going on? What's going on around the NBA?
Hold on. I just want to say one thing. Okay. We got the number 1 pick. The Celtics had the number 1 pick. I just want to put this in perspective.
Yeah.
The number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Traded down out of the number 1 pick in hopes that you can then sign free agents and trades and have more assets. Now you have nothing. You have the number 3 pick that you drafted.
No, whoa. Hold on a second. You still got next year's pick, or it could be 2019. Come on. You got 2 for 1. You got 2 for 1.
You could theoretically.
They could end up with 2 top 5 picks next season.
You could theoretically draft
all of them
for the Kings at like pick 17, bro, in 2019. Like, hopefully we get the Lakers pick next year. If you come in next year, you know what? It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter. Because I was just thinking, you know what? You get the Brooklyn number 1 overall pick, and you get the number 2 pick. You could have the top 2 picks next year.
Yeah, but Sean, how good are the Lakers going to be?
What?
Brook Lopez?
No, I'm saying
Brook Lopez. He was on that Brooklyn team.
Hold on. I'm saying
the one that got the number 1 pick last year.
You could have the number 1 and number 2 pick next year, theoretically, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter. Danny will fuck it up. He'll fuck it up. He'll trade.
You're saying he'll flip that?
He'll trade the number 1 and number 2 pick for the number 5 and number 6 pick, and then 10 picks in 2027.
I don't want to think that far ahead.
No, but according to Danny, guys, there's no such thing as too many draft picks.
Listen, value is key, okay? So if you can get the best player at number 3 instead of the best player at number 1, whoa! Let me blow your mind for a second there, little boy.
Got him.
It's called drafting with Danny, okay? We're in the fucking algorithm section right now.
Drafting with Trader Danny.
But Sean, at the end of the day, though,
don't call him Trader Danny anymore. If anyone else calls him Trader Danny, I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Sean, at the end of the day,
he's not a trader.
At the end of the day, like your boy said, at the end of the day, though, It's just basketball, man. It's just basketball.
Listen,
At the end of the day,
It's just basketball.
it's just basketball.
so LeBron coming to the Celtics in free agency in 2018.
Well, for the Boston sports fans,
I mean, Nick
we
Gelso
still-
brought up a good point.
we
I
still
mean,
got
if-
Sox and we still got the fucking Patriots.
If we're talking about one of the best teams that he could join, Celtics probably going to be what, top 2, top
over
3.
it. I'm over everything. You sign Isaiah long term. You sign Avery Bradley long term. You build around his core. You bring up Tatum. You bring up Brown. See what the fuck happens.
So he officially
Draft number 1. I'm done. I don't want Hayward. I don't want Hayward.
He officially fucked up the grilled cheese sandwich.
He fucked up the fucking grilled cheese sandwich, man. All you had to do was put cheese, butter, and bread on the fucking stove.
That's it.
You walked away, smoked a pack of butts, came back inside. Your house
Shit
was
was
on
all
fire.
charcoal.
Jesus.
Nothing worse than a burnt grilled cheese sandwich.
He screwed it up, bro. And you know what? The thing that sucks for me is that he had such an opportunity to be like, make this move and make this, crazy, we're going to win, we're going to have a super team move. He screws it up. And still all of Boston Celtics fans and everybody just says, well, it's fine. We got Tatum, we got Brown, we built to the future, we got the pick next year. He can't fail. You know what? Jobs where you can't fail, you could be doing a horrible job.
You can fail.
No, he can't fail. He's got too many assets. He can't fail.
That's right.
He can just be like, well, we'll just draft them all. That's it. We're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid.
They're going to create a new D League team just to have all these draft picks.
The Hartford Whalers coming back.
The Hartford Whalers.
For the D League. Celtics has 2 D League teams. Jesus.
One in Maine and then the other one in Hartford. Nice.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right. We can go into in case you missed it. I'm mad, so.
In case you missed it, Sean is pissed off.
Stupid, man.
If you haven't seen it on Snapchat.
Could have traded for Paul George.
All right.
Sabonis!
In case you missed it.
Chicago Bulls continue to blow up their core after trading Jimmy Butler last week during the draft.
We didn't even talk about that.
They've waived Rajon Rondo, and this is the key to all this, Isaiah Cannon. Oh, poor Isaiah.
Well,
but wait, they still have Dwayne Wade at $24 million this season, so should be a great campaign for the Chicago Bulls and Freddie Hoiberg.
Don't forget about Zach LaVine, bro.
Yeah, well, Zach LaVine.
Chris Dunn's about to make
coming back from a torn ACL and a torn MCL as well.
Chris Dunn's about to make his explosion onto the scene here.
Yeah. Where do we think Rajon Rondo's going? I thought before my next point for in case you missed it was Ricky Rubio getting traded from the Timberwolves. I thought he was going to go to Timberwolves because I saw many reports that Timberwolves were shopping Ricky Rubio. But
yeah, they've been shopping for a while.
So now that Ricky Rubio's gone from Minnesota,
Where'd he go?
He went to Utah. Mm-hmm.
George Hill gone?
George Hill's a free agent.
You know what? I'm gonna say New Orleans.
We were
talking
talking about that last night. That's a good.
Rondo?
Yeah. DeMarcus Cousins is a big fan of him. DeMarcus Cousins
They need a
was
point
saying
guard.
that they weren't. He went on record to say that he wouldn't personally let him walk away from Sacramento. Of course, he did. The next season, he did go to Chicago, but those two do have a good relationship.
Minnesota
And,
just
they need a point guard. That's
They
probably
just
the
signed-
worst.
They-
Probably
well-
the worst backcourt in the NBA.
They just signed Drew Holiday to a $126 million contract.
Did they?
Yes. They re-signed. No, Drew, J-R-U-E.
No, I know who he is.
Holiday. I'm not talking Drew Holiday.
He can play the shooting guard.
He just signed $126 million.
You're not going to sign Rondo for fucking 5 years. You're going to sign him for a year, 2 years with the team option for the second year, just like the way Chicago did.
Okay, even so, could you imagine signing Drew Holiday for $126 million?
Oh, okay, you're on that. Okay, I got you.
That shit's
No,
crazy.
but Minnesota's bringing in Jeff Teague, by the way.
Good. I think that's
a good starting lineup.
You
for
got, yeah. What'd you?
I don't know about their bench.
You called it out last night,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Teague,
Butler,
Butler,
Wiggins,
Towns, Pekovic.
Yeah, Pekovic. That's a good starting five. I don't know about their bench though.
In the East, it'd be probably number 1 seed, number 2 seed in the East.
I got to pick another team then.
All my friends are dead.
So right now for point guards, it's like George Hill.
Probably cut that part out.
What? With what?
I didn't really fucking sign Drew Holiday.
Yeah, but
I thought they would let him walk.
Yeah, but they can still get
just
Rondo on
signed
the
him
cheap
last
though.
night. Yeah,
They still need help
we're
in the
fine.
backcourt.
We're
It's
fine.
not just
We're
Holiday.
fine.
July
fine.
1st. It says Drew Holiday signed. He signed at midnight.
No, yeah, like last night, yeah.
Like, as soon as it was
While we
midnight,
were
it was
drinking.
like,
while
At King's.
we said, you know what? Fuck Paul George. We're not recording. We're gonna go drink.
Drew was like, dun, 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 dun.
She was like, 126 million reasons to say yes. How high pitched is Drew Holiday's voice? I think
I don't know.
he probably talks like this. You know?
I'm so excited to play for the Hornets.
Even though we could,
It's gonna be a good season.
it's Drew. My name's Drew with a J.
fuck no, man. Who the heck? Who needs a point guard?
You can put him. You can put him in anywhere, man. I mean, think about it. Point guard.
You can't put him anywhere, man. It's Rondo.
Okay. I mean, why doesn't he just go to L.A. Clippers, play for Doc again?
No, because they just traded for Patrick Beverly.
Bring him off the
And
bench,
Lou
baby.
Williams.
Bring him off the bench. He's going. That's where he's going to go. He's going to reunite with Doc. L.A. Clippers. You watch it. Or he'll go to the Lakers.
No, Doc's not gonna deal with that.
He could go to the Lakers.
No.
They just drafted Lonzo Ball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, if you want a pass first point guard to be brought up by anybody else, why wouldn't it be Rondo?
He wouldn't go to the Lakers.
All right, that's a little Celtic pride right there. You're
Yeah,
talking about.
he wouldn't do that.
I'm just saying he could go to the Lakers.
You know what?
Stick with the. Huh?
Cleveland.
Cleveland. No, I think
They do need a backup point guard. They're talking to like Jose
Backup.
Calderon right now.
backup. Yo, put Kyrie at the 2.
Yeah, right.
Put Kyrie in that Dwayne Wade
By
role,
the way,
man.
you know what's crazy? Did you hear about that stuff where they were trying to trade Kyrie Irving to the Suns for the 4th overall pick?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
That would have been stupid.
That's a fucking lie, Sean.
Okay, hold on. I'll get the report. You continue in case you missed.
All right, in case you missed it, wouldn't be, and in case you missed it, without the Knicks. Now, obviously, it's been a few days, but Phil Jackson and the Knicks have parted ways.
Mm.
And the funniest video that you'll see this week, in my opinion, is Michael Rappaport giving props to James Dolan for finally pulling the trigger on getting Phil Jackson the fuck out of New York. I'll play a clip right now. But before I do, James Dolan had to obviously eat at least $20 million of the remaining contract that Phil Jackson had. Wait, what the fuck was his position? The president of the team, the GM? I don't know what the fuck that was called, but 3 years, only 80 wins, no playoff appearances, endless bashing of Carmelo Anthony, trying to trade Porzingis. I still believe that he was trying to get fired.
He just wanted to see. He just wanted to see what was out there. He wanted to hear what teams were willing to give up for Porzingis. I don't think he was.
Yo, what other GM is that critical or like obsessed with enforcing an offensive system on a coach as much as he did with Jeff Hornacek and the fucking triangle? Not only that, but Jeff Hornacek, fucking Derek Fisher. Like you got former Phil Jackson players like Steve Kerr and fucking they don't use the triangle. That's my point. They don't fucking. It's
Luke Walton.
Luke Walton. Thank you. It's outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's when
And Phil Jackson like refuses to believe like it's like basketball has gone past him in terms of like systems.
Any good team has more than one superstar now.
Yeah,
you
he
can't
did.
build around the.
I don't
one
think he
guy.
wanted. I don't think he ever wanted the job. But who's going to pass up $12 million a year for 5 years?
Nobody.
You know what I'm saying? So
By the way, what I was talking about. Ready for this? You didn't hear this before the George trade, so obviously this is dead now. But Vince Gregoric got a check mark.
so he's verified.
Yep. Cavs had a deal in place pre-draft with the Suns. Kyrie and Channing Frye to Phoenix for Eric Bledsoe in the 4th pick. Cavs then would have shipped the 4th pick to Indy for Paul George.
Oh, okay. So it's just
Gilbert approached LeBron for a guarantee he'd stay in Cleveland longer than a season before they pulled the deal on the trigger on the trade.
yeah.
LeBron wouldn't give him the
We haven't even talked about that. Like all these trades, how they have affected Cleveland and what they're trying to do.
LeBron's holding Cleveland over a barrel right now. They want to trade Love. They obviously want to trade Kyrie if they want to improve.
But Melo's also on their list of players.
Because you know what? LeBron won't commit. So they don't want to blow up what they got.
He only keeps signing 2-year deals.
They don't want to keep. They've already locked into Tristan Thompson. No, if LeBron leaves, they're fucked.
And that's all on LeBron as well.
They're fucked.
No, but speaking of Cleveland, you know how they fired their GM, David Griffin. He's on a short list for New York to replace Phil Jackson. And other than Griffin, you know who else's name is floating around, even though he denies ever even talking to the Knicks? John Calipari.
What about Urjai, the guy from Toronto? I thought he was on there too.
He's on there too, yeah.
Calipari?
He says he hasn't spoken to the Knicks, but the Knicks have mentioned his name.
Could you imagine if Calipari goes there and everybody that played for Kentucky just wants to play for the Knicks now? Boogie, Davis.
No, I don't think that would happen, Sean.
No. Well, here's a clip of Michael Rappaport venting or, feeling relieved of Phil Jackson not being with the Knicks.
James Dolan, Jimmy D, you fucking did it. Fucking proud of you, Jimmy D. You don't take no fucking shit off nobody. Now do yourself a favor, okay? Don't say we're parting ways with Phil Jackson. Say we fired you, you cocksucker, okay? You're fucking fired. Now take your fucking yoga mat and go the fuck back to Montana. After that, I want you to go down to Radio City Music Hall. I want you to line up all the Rockettes. I want you to fire all of them. Tell them you're all fucking fired. Let people know you're the fucking boss. Then you gotta call Charles Oakley up. We're gonna make amends. You're gonna have a sit down with him tonight. You're gonna make that whole situation go away. All right? You gotta call up Oak. Make things right with Oak. But I am proud of you, Jimmy D. You got the juice now. It's your city.
All right. That's
Oak, baby.
That's
Oak.
the end. That's the end of that.
That's the best part of that. I love that.
He needs to do that. He needs to bring Oakley into the fold and give him a job.
Make things right. I tweeted that out about how I love that part. He liked my tweet, actually. Rappaport liked my tweet. That's the best part of the whole thing, in my opinion. Because all I could think about was Oakley being dragged out of Madison Square Garden that night for I don't know, being too drunk, I guess.
I'm feeling that. I don't think he was even drunk. He was
Charles
sitting behind.
For being Charles Oakley, exactly. That wasn't even the case.
Dolan was afraid, for whatever reason, of what he was going to do or what he thought he might have done, but I don't know. It was just weird. That's a whole weird situation.
Make things right.
Make things right. In case you missed it. The top selling jerseys were released a few days ago, and guess what number Isaiah Thomas was on this list? It was 15 jerseys. I'm not going to say all 15, but I'll just say the top 5 or so, top 7.
Isaiah Thomas this year. So last year is selling jerseys.
So yeah, this past season it just ended.
Oh, Isaiah. I mean, let's see. Top 5 market in the NBA. Best player made a big rise. 6.
Ooh, close. Number 7.
Oh, I almost went with 7.
Number 7. My man, he beat out players like John Wall, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, James Harden.
Harden's a big one.
The Greek Freak.
Wow, Harden. He beat out Harden.
He beat out those guys.
I really think there would be more Harden jerseys sold. But
that's what I thought.
Ugly as fuck.
They are. That's what it is. The Houston jerseys are bad. The gray ones aren't that bad. I'm sorry. The black ones. I like the black ones.
The black ones aren't.
The black
that
ones
bad,
are dope. Yeah.
But the red ones suck.
Yeah, the red ones suck, and the gray ones with the sleeve are weird.
They suck.
Yeah, they're weird.
Who was number 1?
Well, ahead of Thomas was Leonard, Kyrie, Russell, KD.
I thought KD would be number 1.
LeBron and Steph was number 1.
Steph is number 1.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
By the way, Steph Curry now the highest paid player in the NBA.
Yep. Signed a $201 million contract.
Just said
that extra $1 million and put it over the top.
I ain't fucking leaving Golden State ever, dude. He's just like, give me the max. Fully guaranteed. Let's go.
All right. In case you missed it, Paul Pierce has cleared waivers. The Clippers waived him a few days ago. So Boston, at any point, going to sign the former captain.
Give him a max deal.
Give him a max deal.
give him $202 million just to beat Curry.
It's been reported he's going to sign a 1-day contract, but yeah, sure, give him the max deal at this point.
1 day, $202 million.
As Paul is signing, he goes, no, get the shit out of my face. I'm playing one more season. I got to save this squad.
He's going to do one.
He's going to do one more.
He's going to do one.
You know what?
Do one more.
Fuck it. If we don't get Hayward, we didn't get George.
He's like, I won't play back-to-backs.
Fine.
I won't play 5 games in fucking 7 nights.
You know what? Yeah, I think that probably would happen if Stevens.
He's like, you know what? I won't even go on the road.
If Stevens wasn't the coach, Pierce would be playing this year.
He's like, I'll pull up Tommy Heinsohn.
He's going to let Pierce play this year.
I'll pull up Tommy Heinsohn. I won't go on the road. I'll just play home games.
He's just Tommy Heinsohn. Lila, the tail.
In case you missed it, sort of brought it up a little bit while Zach was still on the phone, but the Celtics Summer League roster and schedule has been released. First game on the schedule, July 3rd against Sean's boy, Markelle Fultz and the Philadelphia 76ers. Sean, will you be watching?
Well, I'd be watching, yes.
Yes.
It's the first take of the rivalry, man.
There you go. They'll also be playing the Lakers for the first time ever in like summer league history.
We're gonna see Markelle Fultz what 5, 4?
I think they play Philly twice.
6 times a year.
Yeah, and then the preseason.
Is it 6 or 5?
You know they're going to play a bunch in the preseason.
A lot.
Yeah.
We're going to see him a lot. Okay.
Philly and Toronto. Those are usually the culprits in the preseason for the Celtics.
Jesus Christ.
Well, actually, they didn't play Toronto last year, which is the year I would have liked to see them play
right,
against
to see
Toronto
yeah,
Raptors.
that's
But
good point.
Instead of you guys going to play Charlotte.
Fultz turns into
twice.
Fultz turns into Derrick Rose. We're fucked.
In case you missed it, the Celtics have made a qualifying offer to Kelly Olynyk to
Thank
make
God.
him a restricted free agent.
Oh.
The qualifying offer is worth $4 million, but if he is retained, $7.7 million will go against the cap next season. So, Hayward, please sign with the Celtics, so we don't have to see Kelly Olynyk ever again in the Celtics jersey.
Okay,
it's a little harsh.
No one tell no. I apologize, Danny. You are doing stuff. You're getting Kelly Olynyk that qualifying offer. You're making moves. Trader Danny's back.
It's insurance, Sean.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, just like insurance was, let's trade for Paul, let's sign Hayward and then trade for Paul George. No. Danny. I wish I could talk to him. Off the record, just for a second.
In case you missed it, for you hip-hop fans, for you music fans, if you're a Tidal customer and a Sprint customer, you got to get that new Jay-Z 444 album. It is so dope. I'm just sorry. I just had to throw that in there.
So basically, we just cut off 1/20th of our listeners who listen to Tidal exclusively and have a Sprint plan, because I fucking downloaded Tidal with the intent to listen to his album when it dropped, and apparently I'm not fucking cool enough. I don't have Sprint. Get the hell out of here, man. Jay-Z's a punk.
I do, and this is the first time Sprint has ever done anything remotely great as this right here. Fucking A. I'm happy to say today that I'm a Sprint customer for the first time in my life.
Well, I'm not even a Sprint customer, but because I've had Tidal for about a year now, I was good, man.
Yeah.
Right at midnight, I had that waiting for me.
Blame Sway, because he should have been telling you, Sean, get on that. You know that Jay-Z's going to be dropping some exclusive shit at some point.
Well, somebody should have. I really feel like it should have been like
you missed it by a couple days.
You know what? Tidal fucked up. They should have put something out there that says download before the 26th. If you want to listen to Jay-Z, download before the 26th. Everybody would have fucking downloaded it.
I saw an ad on Facebook, and I'm not a Tidal subscriber. I kept seeing that pop up like a sponsored ad of, make sure you become a Sprint customer or a Tidal customer because Jay-Z dropping his album. And that was like a week ago.
Well, I didn't see shit on my Facebook.
I've given it many, many listens, and I continue to keep listening probably all summer.
Yeah, it's addictive. It's a little addictive. I'm not gonna lie.
It's only 10 tracks, but it's 10 tracks that hit your soul.
I don't know. I like one of them. One of them is pretty good.
We'll put you on, Sean. We'll put you on.
Just one. Oh, you haven't heard the whole album.
Oh, don't worry. I haven't heard the whole album yet because I'm not in the fucking cool club, apparently. I have Verizon. What the fuck are you going to do for me, Verizon? Give me a Bon Jovi album in fucking 2018? Verizon is the Danny Ainge of cell phone companies. Jesus. And iTunes. Don't get me started with iTunes.
Well, how do you think I felt 4 years ago when Jay-Z dropped an album and it was only for Samsung cell phone users that could listen to the fucking album?
Download the app.
Yep. That's ridiculous.
Thank God for Sway.
Magna Carta, but it's so funny because
the
internet crashed. The internet crashed that day, so we couldn't even, us Samsung owners, we couldn't listen to it till about like 7 a.m. in the morning or so.
The internet crashed?
The internet crashed because so many people tried to download it at once that no one got it.
Broke the internet.
The album didn't suck, by the way, Sean.
It wasn't great.
All right. I accept that. It wasn't great.
This, in case you missed it, is brought to you by CLNS Media Network.
CLNS.
Make sure you download that mobile app
when you want the best.
For the best in sports coverage. You can also listen to Causeway Street Podcast on there as well. Big shout out to Nick Gelso. I didn't say thank you to him last episode during our live NBA draft show down at the Greatest Bar. He was a crucial part in setting that up. So big shout out to him and the whole CLNS crew.
Yeah, definitely.
For that. And, we gave away our Isaiah Thomas basketball.
Yeah, those guys were
Title
psyched,
Town.
man.
Shout out to them as well.
That was great. We had a lot of people sign up for that ball. And, man, that roar that came from the crowd when they won it, I didn't know because we were just been talking to those people about signing up, and then they, of course, that one of the guys that was in that group ended up winning it, so that was fun.
Yeah, I had a great time at the
Nate, Nate won the ball.
Shout out to Nate.
Who the fuck's Nate?
He won the basketball.
He won the basketball. He was the name you called when we gave it away.
I just remember I pulled out something that said "Your Mama."
That was funny.
Shout out to your mama for not claiming that ball. You know?
And then the email said yourmama@gmail.com.
Oh, we all know she's a Gmail subscriber, right?
I don't think that's your email.
That's somebody was playing.
And that's it for
In case you missed it.
Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook. And hit up our homepage, causewaystreetblog.com, for all your free agency coverage.
I want something to go right for the Celtics.
It will.
You know what, Sean?
It will. You know what? Right now, I just got it. I just got it right now.
You felt it?
Gut feeling. They're going to sign Hayward.
Yeah?
They're going to sign Hayward.
Yeah?
Yep.
Good.
I want.
You know why?
I need something to go right.
That's why.
It's been a lot of disappointment. Other than
they're going to sign Hayward.
Other than the Celtics playing on the basketball court, everything else has been disappointment.
There's just so much to offer. Not just all right. In
know
my
what it
opinion,
is?
it's putting Gordon Hayward becoming a household name because he'll be the one going against LeBron James and the Cavs.
You know what Danny Ainge is doing right now? I think I just made the best analogy.
Brad Stevens in there too. I think it's gonna happen.
Danny Ainge is at like that steakhouse that has all of these crazy, like the most delicious foods in the entire
Gotta
world.
love the Dutra metaphors. Love them.
And he just orders chicken nuggets. That's what we're doing right now. He's got too many options. So he falls back on
20 piece.
I love chicken nuggets. I'm just going to do this chicken. I'm just going to do chicken nuggets. Forget the filet mignon. A little too expensive. Forget the lobster. I don't know if I'm in the mood for seafood.
That's great and all, but
give me my fucking 20-piece chicken nuggets.
And you can find Sean and his analogies on Twitter at Sean Dutra. SeanDutra.
But I'm telling you right now, though, if they don't get Gordon Hayward, give me Carmelo Anthony.
Nope. If they don't get Gordon Hayward, I'm starting the next episode.
Oh, you can hear Josue's hot takes. Or you can read Josue's hot takes on Twitter.
What do you mean starting the next episode?
At JOE.
Just swearing.
Oh, you mean you're gonna vent? All right.
Coming.
Oh, next episode's gonna be interesting.
At JOE_SWAY.
That's right. Check me out on Twitter. What else we got, guys? That's about it, right? Covered everything.
Any final thoughts? I don't know.
I feel like by the time this episode comes out,
Celtics!
Hayward's gonna be decided. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
No, put it up.
This was supposed to be a happy
about to
free agency
drop.
show, but
I mean, if we were just ignorant,
remember a year ago how like optimistic everyone was.
Yeah,
It was like, oh no, fucking Kevin Durant meeting with the Celtics, Tom Brady, and fucking you know what the Celtics need to do when they do meet with Hayward is forget Tom Brady. As much as everyone loves Tom Brady, because Hayward does not love Tom Brady. I don't know if you know that.
Brady,
he hates Tom Brady.
You need Peyton Manning in this.
You need to bring some Paul Pierce, some Kevin Garnett,
Peyton Manning.
You need Bill Russell in that meeting. Like all the it's like as much Celtics legends as you can bring. And say, you know what?
Larry Bird? You got to get Larry Bird because...
I don't know. Larry might be still on his Pacer thing.
See, this is why I have this gut feeling. The reason I have this gut feeling is that I just feel like the Celtics are going to blow him away with their presentation.
Listen, if you just go to Gordon Hayward and say, Boston loves white people. Sold.
No, do it, but don't do it as... Don't do it that...
I don't think it's going to be enough.
No, I see what he's saying, but do it, but don't do it that blatant.
Just be like...
See what I'm saying? Like,
no, I think you just straight up come out and say, listen, Boston, this is not a funny topic, but I'm making it a funny topic. I'm sorry. All right. I digress.
All right, gang. Until next time, we are the Causeway Street Podcast, and we out.
All right, later.
Later, guys.
Bye-bye.